This is a spoken introduction to a new type of video series of textual readings that I'm going to be making, and in particular to the Persian readings with which I will be beginning this series. If you have watched any of the Languages of the World introductory overviews of the Germanic language family that I've just finished making, you will have noticed that towards the end of each of those videos I take a text sample and I read it and I translate it word by word, line by line. So in this new series, that's all I'm going to be doing, particularly with exotic languages, because there's not enough time to do it as I'm also talking about the language. So I'll just take a text and read it at length and translate it. I hope to do this with Arabic and with Hindi and a number of other languages. But as I said, I'm going to be beginning with Persian. I have been thinking about doing this for some time now, but I was imagining that I would complete the whole Languages of the World overview series and a number of other series that I'm doing first, but I feel a sense of urgency actually to get started with Persian in particular just now. Frankly, I wish I'd started it a little bit earlier. It's now October 10th, 2008, and there has been talk of imminent outbreak of war with Iran for a number of years now, but I just have a dreadful fear that that might really be coming to a head at the present time as the world's financial system goes into collapse and meltdown, and as the American political cycle enters the stage that it's in. Any student of history knows that in situations something like this, governments tend to maybe go to war as a solution, or at least distract people's attention. And war I've experienced firsthand. I was a professor at the American University of Science and Technology in Beirut until the summer of 2006, when it began to rain bombs on that city. And amongst the explosions I had to gather my family and flee as a refugee. And that was just such a dreadfully horrible and frightening experience that I just don't want any other human being anywhere to ever go through that. And whatever the macro-scale geopolitical reasons leading up to armed conflict are, it's the innocent citizens of a city like Tehran that will suffer through what I suffered through if what I fear does come to pass. So it's terribly naive of me, I know, because given the history of civil wars and all sorts of conflicts between people who do know and understand each other killing each other. But it's standard procedure in war to demonize and dehumanize the enemy and make him seem like an utterly alien barbarian. And the Persian language is actually one of the greatest literary and cultural vehicles of human history, of humankind. And it's something that I love and respect very much. And I think it would be particularly tragic if this were to happen with conflict with this culture. And I think that people from that culture, from Iran, have a good number of them probably have studied English and French and other Western languages far more than Americans and other Westerners have studied Persian, and that's something that needs to be changed, needs to be remedied. Just perhaps, if people can understand each other better, conflict might be less likely, and in the event that it happens anyway, reconciliation is necessary, and there too communication is invaluable. So people need to know and study Persian. I'm making this video in front of my little collection of Persian literature here. I think maybe some people who might know it can see the kind of book that I read and I aspire to read even more. Tales and novels and classic literature, poetry. And if this series is valuable, interesting to people, I'd be happy to go and do that kind of textual reading as well. But I'm going to be beginning it with some text that I will take primarily from this book, at least initially. This is a Russian textbook from the Russian publisher Moravy Guide, which I did not get to do in my Languages of the World overview. They publish a lot of Eastern languages, so I wanted to show something from that. And I think this just gives a totally different perspective on Persia, on Iran, than we would get in some other sources. So the texts too from here are going to be political and economic and sort of everyday conversation at the advanced level. So I think that is probably more interesting and relevant and important to most people than literary text to begin with. But as I said, I'd be overjoyed to make some videos of that too if there's actual interest. I hope there is. Again, I will be making these videos of textual readings, and I'm doing this purely as an advanced student. I'm obviously not a master of this language at all. I don't claim even to speak it. In order to speak a language, you need to literally do that. You need to speak it on a regular basis with the natives in the culture, in the environment, to have active, interactive contact with the living language. And that's something I've never had with this. As I said, I can read it to my own satisfaction, but I'd like to read even better, even faster. And therefore, one of the most important exercises that any student of language can do, particularly with a relatively exotic language, as is Persian in my case, is reading aloud. And that's, it sounds simple, but it's a hard thing to do, because once you develop any facility with the language, it's much easier to read silently in your head. You go faster and you get more content, but that does not sort of imprint the structures or the sounds of it as well as reading aloud. So on a purely selfish level, by making these videos, I'm forcing myself to do good practice, but I do hope truly that I'm helping beginning students and prospective students, would-be students, people who might be interested or have some idea of wanting to learn Persian. I think that if you watch a number of these videos that I'm going to be making of these texts, you should be able to learn a fair amount about the language. I would like to say, apologize. I know my pronunciation is definitely going to be imperfect. Again, I've not had any real living contact with the language. Persian is a language in which the vowels are not written in, and so I may utterly mangle some words. If that's the case, I would appreciate having that pointed out. It's also a very idiomatic language, that is, words are sort of combined to give you meanings other than what they seem to be literally saying. So if I will be mistranslating at times, and if somebody notices that and cares to point that out, I would be grateful too. But I do think that this should be a helpful exercise for anybody who's interested in this kind of language, and I'm making it in the hopes of getting people interested in it and wanting to learn this beautiful literary language.